Have you ever felt that uncontrollable urge to respond? That need to prove you're right? To show you won't take disrespect? To make it clear you're not a fool and definitely not weak? You're in the middle of an argument. Words fly like arrows. Hearts race. Blood boils. Then, out of nowhere, everything goes quiet. A question echoes inside your mind. Why am I even fighting? That's when Nietzsche walks into the room. He doesn't shout. He doesn't take sides. He doesn't tell you who's right or wrong. He simply watches. Then, with the calmness of someone who has watched the world burn more than once, he whispers, "You've already lost, just by being here." You frown. What does he mean? Nietzsche smiles, because for him, the real battlefield isn't between two people arguing. It's inside of you. Silence is the first sign of strength. Since we were kids, we were taught that the louder you are, the more you win. That the one with the best arguments earns respect. That quick comebacks show intelligence, but that's a lie. One of the most dangerous ones. Because according to Nietzsche, the first sign of true strength is not noise. It's silence. Most people think power is about words. Nietzsche believed the opposite. Real power is the ability to choose when not to speak. Because the one who stays silent is still in control. But the one who reacts has already been conquered. The ego is the real enemy. Do you know why most arguments happen? It's not about truth. It's not about ideology. It's not even about values. It's about ego. Nietzsche said the ego is fragile, and it knows it. That's why it lashes out when it feels threatened. It's the ego that screams, "You're really gonna let them say that to you?" It's the ego that snaps, "Show them you're better." But the ego is like a scared dog barking behind a gate. The louder it barks, the more it's trying to hide its fear. Nietzsche saw that as weakness, and weakness should never be the one making your decisions. If you react, you obey. Think about this. Every time you react automatically without thinking, someone else is in control of you. Whoever pulls your emotions pulls your strings. It's like an invisible puppeteer controlling your moves. Nietzsche called this emotional slavery. And even if you feel powerful in the middle of your comeback, the truth is harsh. You're just dancing to someone else's tune. You're not deciding, you're obeying. And those who obey are never truly in command. The Übermensch chooses silence. At the heart of Nietzsche's philosophy is the idea of the Übermensch, the overman. Not a superhero with a cape, but a human who has risen above common instincts. The Übermensch doesn't get triggered by petty insults. He doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. He speaks when he wants to, and stays silent when he knows his silence says more than any word ever could. He doesn't get pulled into every fight. He watches. And when he decides to act, the world listens. Picture this scene. A tense business meeting. Two people are arguing, trying to dominate the conversation. Voices are raised, interruptions, chaos, and in the corner, someone just watches. They don't say a word. They breathe slowly, fingers interlaced, calm. Then, when the room is finally exhausted, they say one sentence. Silence falls. The entire energy shifts. They didn't speak to win. They spoke to redirect everything. Nietzsche would look at that person and say, "That is power." Socrates, Jobs, and Musashi, masters of silence. Socrates, the philosopher who never needed to win. Socrates wasn't an aggressive speaker. He was a silent questioner. He never attacked directly. He simply asked. And those questions, simple, sharp, impossible to ignore, would dismantle entire egos. Socrates didn't need to win debates. He made the other person defeat themselves. Every time. Steve Jobs, the chaos orchestrator. Steve Jobs didn't avoid conflict, he used it, but he spoke little. He waited. And when he saw the perfect moment, he'd drop an idea with such conviction that no one could resist. He knew. True power is making others believe it was their idea. That kind of influence doesn't come from talking too much. It comes from control, patience, silence. Musashi, the samurai who fought without a sword. Musashi won dozens of duels, but his greatest weapon wasn't the blade, it was the mind. He delayed, provoked, played with the opponent's emotions long before any strike. He knew, if the other person loses emotional control, the fight is already won. Sometimes it was just a late entrance, a silent stare, a moment of stillness. And that was enough. The psychology of silence. Modern science confirms what Nietzsche knew long ago. Calm people are seen as natural leaders. Listeners are more persuasive than talkers. Silence, when intentional, creates deep impact. Social studies show that in group settings, those who speak less but with more precision are perceived as more intelligent, more trustworthy, more powerful. Silence, when chosen, becomes a symbol of authority. Silence is not cowardice. Here's the most important point of all. Nietzsche never preached running away from conflict. He didn't believe in passivity. He believed in strategic dominance. Silence for him was not weakness. It was an even greater power. And when conflict became necessary, so be it. But let it be chosen, never emotional, never automatic. For Nietzsche, speaking wasn't the sin. Speaking without thinking, that was. Argument as a tool, not an addiction. Most people argue out of habit, like an emotional addiction. They need to win. They need to get the last word. They need to feel right. But that's childish. Nietzsche believed that real power came from using conflict with purpose. If the argument doesn't make you stronger, wiser, or more focused, it's just vanity. And vanity is the opposite of wisdom. You have 100 words left in your life. Now imagine this. You wake up one morning and a voice tells you, you only have 100 words left to speak for the rest of your life. Every sentence, every syllable, now has a cost. Would you waste them in a pointless text argument? Would you spend them in a political debate with your uncle? Or would you guard them, weigh them, shape each word like a blade? That's what Nietzsche wanted you to understand. Words are power, but only if they're rare, only if they're chosen. When you master silence, you redefine power. The world praises those who speak, but the universe obeys those who listen. Nietzsche understood that real power never yells. It doesn't need to, because it's not loud, it's felt. It's in the posture, the calm gaze, the pause between words, the absence that carries more weight than any presence ever could. The invisible warrior. Have you ever seen an invisible warrior? He doesn't fight every battle. He wins before the fight even begins. He watches, he waits, and when he finally speaks, the world pays attention. Nietzsche believed that few people would ever reach that level of self-control. But those who do will shape the world in their image. Real power isn't in what you say. It's in what you no longer need to say. So next time you feel the urge to answer, to argue, to prove yourself, remember this. Impulse is weakness. Reaction is slavery. Silence is sovereignty. You are the invisible warrior. Choose your silence, master your response. Turn your stillness into your armor and your weapon, because in the end, the truly powerful don't win through volume. They win through presence.